This is one of my favorite machines for cables because it allows for the most range of motion, the most positioning with the handles. My favorite position for shoulders is all the way in, all the way down, and then we're gonna cross them over. What's going on, guys? In today's video, we're gonna be getting a full session of shoulders. We're gonna be mic'd up at the gym. Let's get it. So I always recommend starting with a warm-up. Your shoulders are a very sensitive joint, and when you're not warming them up, you're gonna open yourself up for injury and all kinds of other things. So get a light weight and get some blood flowing into the shoulder. Now, for your top sets, you don't need to go so light that you can do more than 12 repetitions, but you also don't need to go so heavy where you're struggling to get 6 reps or something. With shoulders, you really need blood flow, you need full range of motion, and you need to make sure that you're focused on the form. People often forget eccentric motion, where they're just focused on the up, where actually most of your growth is going to occur during both range of motion. So make sure that you're emphasizing the eccentric, which is going to make you a lot weaker. You're going to have to use a lot lower weight when you have a longer eccentric. So check this out. Now, Arnold press, front press, barbell press, they're all going to do basically the same thing, but you want to make sure that your weight is heavy enough where you're not easily able to do 12. So this is still a little too light. Now, with your first starting compound movements, you're going to want to do at least 5 sets of these main movements so you can really get the majority of the muscle fatigued and worked. So these first sets are usually your heaviest and your strongest movements, like you're pressing, so that you can get the most work done in the beginning of your workout. Then we'll move towards some isolation at the end. Now, unfortunately, I have to do voiceovers on these portions of the video because the stupid music at the gym is so loud. I'm going to get a copyright for having it play in the background. So this is where I'm doing shoulder presses. And you can see, actually, I'm not using the entire range of motion. I'm staying within that small range of motion between the top and the bottom. This is because at the top of the motion, you're actually getting a rest. And at the bottom of the motion, you're getting a break. And it's going to your triceps as well. So we want to keep it isolated on the shoulders as much as possible. Now, I usually set a timer. You want to really keep your rest period short, less than 90 seconds, 2 minutes tops if you're going a little bit heavier. Most people spend too much time between sets around, losing your pump, losing the progress you're having. So make sure you're maintaining short rest periods, less than 2 minutes. Set 3. That was heavy. Now at this point, the Arnold press got a little bit too heavy, so I switched to the traditional dumbbell press. Again, in that tight range of motion, short rest periods, and just making sure you're keeping that mind-muscle connection going the entire time. You really want to focus on the delts as you're performing this motion. Most often the triceps take over because people's triceps are a lot stronger. That's like a perfect weight. Can't really get 12 of them. 6 of them is easy. 8 of them is iffy. 10's pushing it. Maybe I got 1 left in the tank. And if you're not breathing heavy between your sets, you're either not trying hard enough, or your rest periods are too long and you're able to catch your breath. Or you're doing a really tiny muscle group and it's too easy. But compound movements, presses, squats, things like that, you should definitely be out of breath in between sets. Set 4. Let's see how ugly this gets. I really think I got to get a new gym because this music is so loud and so annoying that I have to do a voiceover, and I have my headphones on the whole time, so I can't actually hear the annoying music until after the fact when I'm doing this edit. And as you fatigue, your form will start to break down. This is okay if you're pushing it heavy, but you want to make sure that your form is maintained, especially in your early sets. Now remember, it's not about the weight. It's not about how much you're moving. It's about the effort and contraction and your form through that range of motion, through that movement. So if your form is right, you're having good eccentric, going through most of the range of motion, it's not about the weight. As long as you're able to push out more than 6 and not less than 15, that's appropriate weight. Now, as your sets progress with short rest periods, that weight might have to drop, but you shouldn't be starting with a weight where you're dropping it every set. It should be a weight that you're able to work with throughout your working sets. And eventually, the pump cover is ready to come off. Set number 5. Now this is a good time to talk about progressive overload. Each time you're lifting, you want to make sure that you're adding more eccentric, more reps, or more weight so that you are actually progressing. Now, when you're cutting or when you're dieting, progressing isn't always possible. Progress isn't linear, so you can't expect to grow every single set, but you are making sure that you are progressing eventually. And we'll talk about hitting plateaus and overcoming them in another video. Next up, let's talk about lateral raises. These are one of the best exercises in building medial heads, but the form is often butchered. People use too less weight, too much weight. It's a commonly mistaken exercise, but extremely valuable. Now, whether you're doing with cables, machines, or free weights, there will be a difference between them. I actually like to get a little bit of all three in the same workout, including supersets and drop sets. Let's get it. You'll want to make sure you're holding a contraction just at the top of the motion. If you're not able to hold that peak contraction, the weight's too heavy for you. And now you'll notice I'm not straight out. My arms are not completely locked out. They're also not 90 degrees. They're about in the middle so that you're able to get the right range of motion there. Your first couple of sets, especially of a new exercise, your form should basically be perfect. It's not until your last sets, the end of your sets, that your form should start breaking down and you use a little bit of cheating. Don't use momentum. Maybe a little bit of momentum from there, but make sure you're not jumping on your toes to get that weight up. Gonna get one more dumbbell, and then we're gonna switch up to some cables, and we're also gonna use, what else? We're gonna get some cables. We're gonna get some cables and some machines. This gym's got a dope lat raise machine, so we're gonna get that as well. Last set. We'll try slower on the negative. That's it. Always pose right after this set when it's most full of blood. That way it's engorged, and then you get to stretch some of that myofascial tissue when it's fully engorged with blood and has the best chance of really expanding that tissue, allowing for new growth. It's not just because it looks the best. There's scientific reasoning behind posing during your pump. Now, I like this machine a lot because it keeps the tension on the muscle throughout the entire range of motion, unlike dumbbells where you're having a variable range of motion at the top and bottom. Here's the constant tension throughout the entire range of motion, and you're able to easily drop set it because you can just pull the pin and keep going. So let's get this first one. Heavy. We drop one pin, continue the set. And now this lateral medial head can handle a lot of volume and it recovers quickly. So drop sets work well on these. We're already tired. Now, drop sets will facilitate more than 2 minutes of rest. If you did especially 2, 3, 4 pieces in your drop set, I could see going to more than 2 minutes of rest, especially if you consider doing another drop set after that first set. So this is the second one. We're going to be doing 3 and then switch it to some cables. Down 1 pin, another set. Till failure on these ones. Let's go one more weight. Till failure has different meanings. You can fail on one weight and then drop set and then fail on another weight. Don't recommend this for big compound movements though, especially in the beginning of your workouts, because you're going to be too tired to do anything else. That's it. Now, I usually set a timer or on my phone or look up at the clock in the gym. Just, again, making sure those rest times stay really short, because if you're talking with your friends or hanging out or doing anything else, looking at your phone, it's really easy to lose track of time and be going over those rest periods. And yeah, your strength comes back, but the pump is gone, the metabolic flow is gone, and you're sort of losing your momentum in the workout. So always recommend to keep that pump and keep those rest periods tight. Let's get set 3. I'm going to drop these, but not record the rest. Also, as a way to finish off any set, I like to do some unilateral exercise, starting with your weak hand. So my right's usually my weak, so I'm going to start with it, do a set, get the best reps that I can out of it, and then switch to your weaker arm, and don't do more reps than you did on your better arm. You can see those hit just a little bit different. 2, 3. It also allows you to push a little bit harder on that side, because you're not taxing your entire body. Your central nervous system isn't being used as hard, so you're able to put more effort into that single side. Now, this is one of my favorite machines for cables, because it allows for the most range of motion, the most positioning with the handles. My favorite position for shoulders is all the way in, all the way down, and then we're going to cross them over. So right side to left side to right side. And this gets us in this position where the cables are crossed, and we're going to go straight out. Now, this would be better if we had the wrist wraps to take the grip out of it, but when you're not able to, handles are fine. Another nice thing is the drop set. So when you're tired from one position, you can easily drop the weight, get your form back. I also recommend switching halfway through, so whatever arms, crisscross them on your next set. And now, just because something gives you a good pump and a burn doesn't mean it's effective. You need both that range of motion, you need effective load over the range of motion, as well as the pump and burn on top of it. So almost done with the lateral raises. And after we're done with some laterals, we're gonna superset this with some machine, and then machine presses, and then a couple more lateral raises. And then we're gonna superset this with some machine presses and some shrugs after this so we can get some final pressing out of the deltoid in a nice controlled motion. Smith or regular machine works, and then we'll be getting, again, some superset with shrugging in that. So last set here. When you start getting that really good pump going, you can see the roundness on the head. And we haven't even started hitting post delt yet. Wait till we hit some post delt, and we'll watch those guys pop too. Now, on the first sets, I recommend using your grip strength, holding on to the weight as long as you can. But once your grips have gotten tired, I do recommend straps because your grips are going to grip out a lot sooner than your traps will if they're in any decent shape. So these first couple, we'll go grips only, and then we'll put on some grip support. Now, I like the dumbbells because they have a little bit better range of motion than the barbell. You can get a sort of a deeper and a higher squeeze at the top. And make sure you're holding that contraction, ears straight to the shoulders straight to the ears, as high as you can go. Slow on the way down. Most people just do their shrugs like this. That's not right. And now on this last set, we're also getting a superset. So we're going to superset shrugs with machine presses because it's a nice controlled environment where you can just get out those last few strict reps, really targeting that muscle without worrying about your supporters. And now, when we say superset, this means back to back. So you're jumping from one to one, no rest in between. The only rest you're getting is the time that you're taking to do the set. So it's probably close to like a 1 minute rest period, not much longer. Now also at the point in this superset, instead of machine press, we could also be doing some sort of front raise variation, cable, dumbbell, barbell. The point is we're getting front delt stimulation and medial delt stimulation. A lot of people's front delts are overactive from a lot of bench pressing. I don't do a ton of barbell bench pressing, so my front delts aren't overactive. And if anything, they need some training, but most people over bench and their shoulders are like this. So if you're like that, make sure you're focusing on the post and medial delt. Depending on what your build is like, you may want to do presses here, more medial focus in between the shrugs there. So, and if you're going too heavy on shrugs, you might be too tired to do anything else in between them. I personally like the VersaGrips better than any regular strap. They're a lot faster, more comfortable. You can keep them on, use them or not. I don't know, I've used different kinds of straps, but these are by far my favorite. I've owned 2 pairs. First ones I lost, but they'll pretty much last forever. Just a little wrap, and they're ready to go. And it's basically taking 90% of your grip out of it. Now, I always like to finish up shoulders with some post delt work so that we're getting all 3 heads of the shoulder. Your post delt, your medial delt, and then your front delt is what we started with. I saved the post delt for last because you hit a little bit with your raises, it gets it slightly, but this pec deck is one of the best ways to isolate that post delt. Now watch how this thing pops before and after this set. Make sure your shoulders are down and back during this. You don't want to be leaned over like this, like you're doing a lateral, like you're doing a lat squeeze. You want to be nice and back. So not forward like this, like you're squeezing your lats, down and back so that you're squeezing your post delts. Slow on the eccentric, hold the contraction. This is also a perfect one to do a drop set with. So that's starting to pop already. Watch after a couple more sets, it'll really start sticking out. Another important thing is your mind-muscle connection. When you're performing these reps, yes, good form, good weight, right number of reps and sets, but during the entire exercise, you need to be thinking about what muscle you're actually using. Focus on that muscle. Think about it contracting. Think about it moving through that range of motion. Like in this post-delt exercise, the post-delt is from here to here, and it's shortening. So you want to imagine that post-delt shortening throughout that range of motion, and you're going to feel it burn, you're going to feel it contract. So make sure your brain is focused on that the entire time. And when you go on drop sets, just go until you can't, go till failure. It's not about getting 8 to 12 reps more on that second set. You're just going until further exhaustion, trying to recruit more of those muscle fibers, so that as your main muscle fibers get tired, you're recruiting some of the additional ones. Now you can see that post delt sticking out like 3D now. It's got a little pump to it. You can see it's like 50% larger than it was in the beginning. Okay, so finished our last set. This is as big as that post delt's gonna get, but you can see it's, again, way bigger than when we started. So that's what a pump looks like. And when you get really lean, you can actually see your pump, which is not something you can see when you have extra body fat. So one of the benefits of getting leaner is being able to see that pump, see the vascularity and the change. Now, if you made it through to the end, I know you will have found some value in sticking with me through this shoulder workout. Subscribe to this channel, guys, and I'm going to be posting more content just like this. Come along with me on this journey. We're still getting gains. We've not reached our genetic limit yet, so we're going to approach it. We're going to get as close as we can with some really strict dieting, training regimens, and I'm going to help you guys push the boundaries on what your bodies are capable of as well. See you in the next video.